Hello guys, this is Alirius. I just finished this book. To be very honest, I didn't like it that much. The hype was, I think, more than the actual content in the book. I'm not going to review it right now. This is just me talking about the environmental descriptions that Murakami has imposed in the book. So I'm just going to read a few of the excerpts that I've highlighted. As you can see, मैंने ना इस book के अंदर कुछ annotations की थी. I was really adamant on a lot of annotations and notes in the beginning, लेकिन उसके बाद जाके फिर मैंने ऐसे छोड़ दिया क्योंकि well, that is something for the review that I'm gonna make. Okay, so he says, all I had to do was find the one window towards the back where a faint light trembled. I focused on that point of light for a long, long time. It made me think of something like the final pulse of a soul's dying embers. Like imagine, like you can paint it in your mind, the dying embers of a person's soul. A person is dying and then there's like faint pulses and faint breathing maybe, and it's like the light is so delicate. Yeah, and you're gonna see in the future like it's commendable and is much more impactful as we go. I think they're not in order, but yeah. Okay, so some context for this next passage. He's on a bus and the bus is going through mountains and trees and over a river, and he's seeing all this greenery of the mountains, and he says, by the time the number of curves began to decrease to the point where I felt more relief, the bus plunged into a chilling Cader Forest. The trees must have been old growth the way they towered over the road, blocking out the sun and covering everything in gloomy shadows. The breeze following into the bus's open windows turned suddenly cold, its dampness sharp against the skin. The valley road hugged the river bank, continuing so long through the trees it began to seem as if the whole world had been buried forever in Cader Forest. The scenery repeated this pattern any number of times. The bus would enter Cader Forest, come out to a village, then go back into the forest. It would stop at a village to let people off, but no one ever got off. Two big buses could never have passed each other on the road, and in fact, passing ordinary cars coming in the other direction required a great deal of maneuvering, with one or the other vehicle having to back up and squeeze into the overhang of a curve. Like the visuals they're so pleasing, they're cinematic. And then there's another abstract. They have like 6 to 7 more. Now our protagonist is exploring the place where he got, and Murakami writes, beyond the trees we came to a gentle slope along which at irregular intervals was a row of 2-story wooden houses that had something odd about them. What made them look strange, it's hard to say, but that was the first time I felt when I saw them. My reaction was a lot like what we feel when we see unreality painted as a pleasant way. The context for this next passage is that the guy is sitting in a room with a window and it's dark outside, it's midnight, and he says, the moon was so bright I turned the lights off and stretched out on the sofa to listen to Bill Evans' piano. Streaming in through the window, the moonlight cast long shadows and splashed the walls with a touch of diluted Indian ink. My God! But you can imagine, I took a thin metal flask from my rucksack, let my mouth fill with the brandy it contained, allowed the warmth to move slowly down my throat to my stomach, and from there felt it spreading to every extremity. After a final sip, I closed the flask and returned it to my rucksack. Now the moonlight seemed to be swaying with the music. Damn. I've nothing to say to that. Like it's so brilliantly executed. Like it's insane. Hey, hello, Timeskip. I'm really sorry I had to go and because I had to sort stuff out. इफ्तार का टाइम हो गया था and I thought कि उसके बाद जाके वीडियो बनाऊंगा, लेकिन didn't get the time and weeks passed by and now it is April. I was recording that video in March, that first part of this video. So anyway, getting back to the topic, another excerpt of environmental description that Murakami says, which is my favorite portion as well. Not my favorite portion, but like my favorite time of the day, that he says, morning is my favorite time of the day. It's like everything's starting out fresh and new. I begin to get sad around noon time, and I hate it when the sun goes down. I live with those same feelings clay yesterday. Now, if you were to ask me, my favorite time of the day is also morning. I love sunrises more than sunsets. It's just something so rejuvenating, something so hopeful and optimistic, and it gives you birth. It gives you, not gives you birth. It gives you hope. It gives you something to look forward to. It is bright and light, and those things, those symbols themselves, they are known to be associated with a lot of hopefulness and new beginnings and stuff. And when the lights go out, it's like darkness, and it's kind of depressing. So that is, I resonated that with that a lot. And 2 pages later, Murakami has something to say about how the clouds and the sky looks. He says, the sky was a fresh swept blue with only a trace of white cloud clinging to the dome of heaven like a thin streak of test paint. My God. And the bottom end of the page, he says, the fields around us were filled with white and blue and yellow flowers and bees buzzing everywhere. Like, in my mind, this gives me a visual of maybe what Wordsworth would have saw when he was in that pensive mood looking over daffodils. Now, of course, he gave 3 different descriptions of flowers. There were 3 kinds of flowers. लेकिन वर्ड्सवर्थ के पास सिर्फ एक थे, तो वो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. लेकिन उसके अलावा इट गिव्स मी, क्या कह सकते हैं उसको, ए वेरी रिलैक्स सेटिंग वेयर यू कैन जस्ट लाई डाउन अमंग द फ्लावर्स एंड not care about a single thing happening in the world. It's like it's that reposefulness in the writing and the description. It takes you into the scene. Absolutely fantastic. And now this is one of my absolutely personal favorite excerpts from the book that talk about environmental description. Here Murakami takes us a bit away from the bright demonstration and depiction and illustration of nature, and he takes us to rainy, a bit bleak and cloudy and still serene portion of nature. He says it was still raining the following morning, a fine, almost invisible autumn rain, unlike the previous night's downpour. You knew it was raining only because of ripples on puddles and the sound of dripping from the eaves. So you can imagine already that the droplets are so fine, so thin, so small, so short, so trivially small and lightweighted that they do not make a sound. You can just see an extremely light drizzle fall on the ground. You cannot even see it. You can only tell it's raining because of the already present water, which is getting more droplets, and also the sound of dripping water from the eaves. So like जहाँ पे भी आपके घर के अंदर, घर के आसपास जहाँ पे भी थोड़ा बहुत स्टीपनेस है, वहाँ से अगर पानी गिर रहा हुआ, क्योंकि वो ड्रॉपलेट्स अगर मॉलिक्यूल्स में बदल जाते हैं तो वो ज़्यादा बड़े मॉलिक्यूल्स बन जाते हैं. अच्छा, वो गिरेंगे तो उनकी आवाज़ आएगी, वैसे बारिश की आवाज़ नहीं आएगी. Just so brilliantly put together. He doesn't tell you, he shows you. This is a master class in illustration. And then he goes on to say, I woke to see a milky white mist enclosing the window. My God, this imagery is so rich, so rich. Like it is cinematic description, as I would say. But as the sun rose, a breeze carried the mist away. जैसे कि सूरज निकला तो वो एक हवा आई, झोंका आया, और वो सारे के सारी धुंध को ले गया साथ. एंड द सराउंडिंग वुड्स एंड हिल्स बिगन टू इमर्ज. और फिर जो आसपास की चीज़ें थी वो नज़र आने लगी, जो हिल्स थे और माउंटेन्स थे. इट इज़ सच कामिंग एंड सेरीन एंड रिलैक्सिंग थिंग टू रीड. सम कॉन्टेक्स्ट फॉर दिस नेक्स्ट एक्सक्रिप्ट इज़ के जो हमारा प्रोटैगनिस्ट है वो एक अपनी दोस्त के साथ उसके मरीज़ अब्बू को देखने गया है और ताज़ियत के लिए गए हैं कि वो बीमार हैं, तो हॉस्पिटल में हैं. एंड अब रूम के अंदर वो और उसके दोस्त के वालिद दोनों बैठे हुए हैं. उसके दोस्त के वालिद ज़्यादा कुछ बोल नहीं सकते, सो ही इज़ जस्ट लाइंग देयर ऑन द बेड एंड ही इज़ जस्ट सिटिंग देयर बिकॉज ही कैन नॉट टॉक, ही कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग. सो ही इज़ जस्ट ऑब्जर्विंग एंड ही ऑब्जर्व्स as the afternoon deepened, the light outside the hospital window changed to the soft, gentle color of autumn. Like, you can imagine you're sitting in a hospital or in an empty building. It could be even your school's building. अगर वहाँ पे ज़्यादा टाइम हो जाए, autumn का महीना है, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि ज़्यादा तेज़ धूप नहीं होगी। और उसने जो बताया है, चेंज टू अ सॉफ्ट जेंटल कलर ऑफ ऑटम। सो उसने बताया कि लाइट का कलर चेंज हो गया। इस तरह से मुझे समझ आती है कि उसकी इंटेंसिटी भी चेंज हो गई है। चूँकि ऑटम है तो वैसे ही ज़्यादा तेज़ धूप नहीं होगी। और इट्स जस्ट सो ब्रिलियंट, like the visual in my mind is unexplainably pleasant. As for another one, I loved the way he uses the word deepened. अगर वैसे तो गहराई के लिए यूज़ होता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे वो कह रहा है कि अगेन कि आफ्टरनून है तो आप उसके अंदर अगर गहरे में जा रहे हैं, it is progressing, and as deep as you go, it means it has more depth and richness to it, which can also mean a few different things based on context. So he says the deepening of autumn had brought an increased blueness and depth to the sky. Very nice. Next up, although this is not an actual description of nature, it is still a description of how you feel on those days where he described. He says कि how many Sundays, how many hundreds of Sundays like this lay ahead of me, quite peaceful and lonely. So even though it is not directly about nature, it is about how nature makes you feel when you're quite peaceful and lonely, when you're in your apartment and you're alone. So this is also a picture that he wants us to see, not just based on this description, but also based on how a character feels. As for our last excerpt, the thing is कि मैंने इसके अंदर बाद में जाके notes लेना बंद कर दिया थे, because I was just trying to get through the book, so I wasn't able to go deep into each and every instance जहाँ पे उसने description दी है. But these are the ones that just stuck with me. So Murakami says it was one of those early autumn afternoons where the light is sharp and clear, exactly as it had been a year earlier when I visited Nayoko in Kyoto. The clouds were white and as narrow as bones, the sky wide open and high. The fragrance of the breeze, the tone of the light, the tiny flowers in the grass, the subtle reverberations that accompanied sounds, all these told me that autumn had come again. So yeah, at the end of the day, environmental description is one of the most compelling motives for me to finish this book, and one of the biggest takeaways that Murakami is one hell of a writer when it comes to demonstrating and illustrating how nature works, how you perceive nature, how nature manifests itself. And highly encouraged if you want to read something nice about nature. I haven't read other writers yet who are as fluent in capturing nature's essence as Murakami. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And yeah, do share the video with someone who you think will be interested in the topic discussed in the video. And yeah, you have a word of mouth here which will help the channel grow. And I would really appreciate if you can share it. Thank you.